Hello, Rick. Welcome. Hello, Shay and Gregory. We'll get started with the chanting. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Evang me sutang ekang samayang bhagava savattiyang viharati jetavane anatapindakasara me tatrako bhagava bhikkhu amante si bhikkavoti badante tite bhikkhu bhagavato pachasso sum bhagava etadavocha Upadava bhikkhave tatagatanang anupadava tatagatanang titava sadatu dhammatitata dhammaniyamata sabbe sankhara anicca tang tatagato abhisambujjati abhisameti abhisambujjitva abhisametva achikkati deseti panyapeti pattapeti vivarati vivajjati yuttani karoti Sappasankara anicchati upadava bhikkave tatagatanang anupadava tatagatanang tatava sadatu dhammatitata dhammaniyamata sabbe sankara dukkha tang tatagato abhisambujjati abhisameti abhisambujjitva abhisametva Achikkati deseti panyapeti pattapeti vivarati vibhajjati uttani karoti sabbe sankhara dukkati upadava bhikkave tatagatanang anupadava tatagatanang titava sadatu dhammatitata dhammaniyamata Sabbe dhamma anatta tang tatagato abhisambujjati abhisameti abhisambujjitva abhisametva achikkati deseti panyapeti pattapeti vivarati vibhajjati uttani karoti sabbe dhamma anattati Idang avocha bhagava attamanate bhikkhu bhagavato bhasitang abhinandunti English, Discourse on the Nature of Dhamma. Thus I heard on one occasion the Sublime One was living at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove in the park of Anathapindika. The Sublime One said to the bhikkhus, Bhikkhus, yes, Venerable Sir, those bhikkhus replied. The Sublime One said this, Bhikkhus, whether Tathagatas appear or do not appear, there is this established element of Dhamma, this fixed law of Dhamma. All that is conditioned is impermanent. A Tathagata fully awakens to this and having fully understands it. So awakened and thus understanding, he announces, points out, declares, establishes, expounds, explains, and clarifies it. All that is conditioned is impermanent. Bhikkhus, whether Tathagatas appear or do not appear, there is this established condition of Dhamma, this fixed law of Dhamma. All that is conditioned is unsatisfactory. A Tathagata fully awakens to this, fully understands it. So awakened and thus understanding, he announces, points out, declares, establishes, expounds, explains, and clarifies it. All that is conditioned is unsatisfactory. Bhikkhus, whether Tathagatas appear or do not appear, there is this established condition of Dhamma, this fixed law of Dhamma. All Dhammas are without self. A Tathagata fully awakens to this and fully understands it. So awakened in understanding, he announces, points out, declares, establishes, expounds, explains, and clarifies it. All Dhammas are without self. Thus spoke the Sublime One, delighted. Those bhikkhus rejoiced in what the Sublime One had said. All right. You know, it's funny. I just realized I didn't ask if people could hear me, and I just went into it. But I'm pretty sure I knew that everything was working. But let us now do our meditation. Hello, Kim. Welcome. Set your body up in a comfortable and stable position. Do some scanning of the body. We'll do a little guided in a bit, but I'll let you do your preliminaries, setting yourself up. Checking posture, and following the breath whenever you're ready. Now let us move on to our meditation for this session. The Buddha exhorts us to remember 5 facts, 5 truths regularly. Whether you're a woman or a man, a layperson or a monastic, one should continuously repeat, recall, remind ourselves of these. So I'll be providing you with some words to repeat, and then afterwards I'll be providing some commentary for your reflection, and then some quiet time to continue to reflect on that particular part of the practice. I repeat the first lines. I am subject to old age. I have not gone beyond old age, aging, decay. No matter how much we try to hide it, deny it, use all kinds of products and procedures to delude ourselves, we cannot escape aging. We've not gone beyond aging. And just like you have not gone beyond aging, so too all beings in the samsaric state. All sentient beings, all living beings have some form of aging. Even trees, plants. This is a fact, a reality that should be reflected upon often. The strength that you have now, the energy, the faculties, all of that will diminish. If it's already started diminishing, if you're older, then it will just diminish even more. Repeat the words. I am subject to illness and disease. I have not gone beyond illness and disease. Everything that is created falls apart, disintegrates. So too this body on occasion falls sick, ill, due to various causes and conditions. There is no escape from the possibility that your body can become ill, sick, diseased. We can do various things that will minimize or avoid maybe the grossest, the largest amount of possible sicknesses, but even still, no matter how hard we try, we cannot escape sickness, disease. And just not you, but all beings in the samsaric state that have bodies. The bodies grow sick, become ill, even non-sentient living beings like trees. You can go into a forest and see trees with tumors or trees with various diseases that can affect whole forests. It is only a matter of time until you're sick, ill, diseased. It has happened before and will happen again. Repeat the words. I am subject to death. I've not gone beyond death. Because we live in an existence where all things are sabbe sankhara anicca, all conditioned things are unstable, undependable, impermanent, because this is the nature of the universe. It cannot be otherwise. That we beings are born and that we not die. All things arise, persist for a time, and then cease. The length of that time can vary. Could be fractions of a second, it could be millennia. But all things that are conditioned follow this cycle. Arising, persisting, ceasing. And so too one day we will also cease. This life will come to an end. This could be tonight, it could be decades from now. Who knows? Not only you are subject to death, but all beings. Everyone you know, everyone you like or dislike, everyone you don't know, will all eventually cease, will pass on to future lives. Not even to think about living beings, but even things like planets, stars, perhaps even the universe itself has cycles of birth and death. In Buddhism, the Buddha talks about the world systems, the universe, many cycles of expanding and contracting, rising and ceasing. Repeat the words. I will be separated from everyone and everything I hold dear. Because sabbe sankhara anicca, because all things are unstable, undependable, impermanent, because all beings are subject to old age, sickness, and death. It is absolutely inevitable that we will become separated from our loved ones. We will become separated from all things that we love and hold dear. All things, all beings arise, persist for a time, and then cease. It cannot be otherwise. And separation need not be just in death. People move across the country. People grow apart emotionally. Separation occurs. And the final reflection, repeat the words. I am owner of my karma, heir of my karma, relative of my karma. My karma is my refuge. Whatever I do, for good or evil, to that I shall be the heir. Buddha wants us to always reflect that we are the owners of our actions. We cannot blame our actions on other people. Karma is not fooled by justifications, delusions. Our actions are our own. No one else's. Knowing the nature of the world, knowing old age, sickness, and death, and loss, knowing these truths and these realities, how do we choose to act? Remember this well, because you are the owners of whatever choices you make, however you act, you will experience the result. Slowly open your eyes, becoming aware of the room around you, your body's position in it, reflecting on the state of your mind before and after the meditation, and contemplating any experiences that stood out. So welcome to Dhammapalooza, the second to last one before the big dark. If there's any questions or anything right now, you can put those in the chat, or else we'll finish out the greater chapter on the lion's roar. There's very few of us on tonight, so probably we'll just jump right into the reading. This person is practicing in such a way and is riding upon such a path that they will realize the undefiled freedom of heart and freedom by wisdom in this very life, and live having realized it with their own insight due to the ending of defilements. Remember, we're going through the different qualities of the Buddha, the different activities. The Buddha is explaining that he knows the three knowledges at this point, and also sees that they have ended the defilements. Sometime later, I see that they have indeed realized the undefiled freedom of heart and freedom by wisdom in this very life, and live having realized it with their own insight due to the ending of defilements, experiencing feelings of perfect happiness. Suppose there was a lotus pond with clear, sweet, cool water, clean with smooth banks, delightful. Nearby was a dense forest grove. Then along comes a person struggling in the oppressive heat, weary, thirsty, and parched, and they have set out on a path that meets with that same lotus pond. If a person with clear eyes saw them, they'd say, "This person is proceeding in such a way and is riding upon such a path that they will arrive at that very lotus pond." Sometime later, they would see the person after they had plunged into that lotus pond, bathed and drunk, when all their stress, weariness, and heat and exhaustion had faded away. They emerged and sat or lay down in that woodland thicket where they experienced feelings of perfect happiness. In the same way, when I've comprehended the mind of a person, I understand that this person is practicing in such a way and is riding upon such a path that they will realize the undefiled freedom of heart and freedom by wisdom in this very life, and live having realized it with their own insight due to the ending of defilements. Sometime later, I see that they have indeed realized the undefiled freedom of heart and freedom by wisdom in this very life, and live having realized it with their own insight due to the ending of defilements, experiencing feelings of perfect happiness. These are the 5 destinations. When I know and see in this way, suppose someone were to say this: the ascetic Gotama has no superhuman distinction in knowledge and wisdom, vision worthy of the noble ones. Remember, this is what the person at the beginning of the sutta said. He teaches what he's worked out by logic, following a line of inquiry, expressing his own perspective. Unless they give up that speech and that thought and let go of that view, they will be cast down to hell. Just as a mendicant accomplished in ethics, immersion, and wisdom, sila, samadhi, and panya, would reach enlightenment in this very life, such is the consequence, I say. Unless they give up that speech and that thought and let go of that view, they will be cast down to hell. Sariputta, I recall having practiced a spiritual path consisting of 4 factors. I used to be a fervent mortifier, the ultimate fervent mortifier. I used to live rough, the ultimate rough liver. I used to live in disgust of sin, the ultimate one living in disgust of sin. I used to be secluded in ultimate seclusion. And this is what my fervent mortification was like. I went naked in ignoring conventions. I licked my hands and didn't come or stop when asked. I didn't consent to food brought to me, or food prepared specially for me, or an invitation for a meal. And this is a list that you actually see a couple places in the suttas, related to like wrong view, and wrong livelihood of monastics. I didn't consent to food brought to me or food prepared specially for me or an invitation for a meal. I didn't receive anything from a pot or a bowl or from someone who keeps sheep or someone who has a weapon or a shovel in their home or where a couple is eating or where there is a woman who is pregnant, breastfeeding, or who lives with a man, or where food for distribution is advertised, or where there's a dog waiting or flies buzzing. I accepted no fish or meat or beer or wine and drank no fermented gruel. I went to just one house for alms, taking just one mouthful, or 2 houses and 2 mouthfuls, up to 7 houses and 7 mouthfuls. I fed on 1 saucer a day, 2 saucers a day, up to 7 saucers a day. I ate once a day, once every second day, up to once a week, and so on, even up to once a fortnight. I lived committed to the practice of eating food at set intervals. I ate herbs, millet, wild rice, poor rice, water lettuce, rice bran, scum from boiling rice, sesame flour, grass or cow dung. I survived on forest roots and fruits, or eating fallen fruit. I wore robes of sun hemp, mixed hemp, coarse wrapping cloth, rags, load tree bark, antelope hide, polar and strips, kusa grass, bark, wood chips, human hair, horsetail hair, or owl's wings. I tore out hair and beard, committed to this practice. I constantly stood refusing seats. I squatted, committed to the endeavor of squatting. I lay on a mat of thorns, making a mat of thorns my bed. I was devoted to ritual bathing 3 times a day, including the evening. And so I lived committed to practicing these various ways of mortifying and tormenting my body. Such was my practice of fervent mortification. And this is what my rough living was like. The dust and dirt built up on my body over many years until it started flaking off. It's like the trunk of a pale moon ebony tree, which builds up bark over many years until it starts flaking off. But it didn't occur to me, oh, this dust and dirt must be rubbed off by my hand or another's. That didn't occur to me. Such was my rough living, and this is what my living in disgust of sin was like. I'd step forward or back ever so mindfully, so I was full of pity regarding even a drop of water, thinking, may I not injure any little creatures on unclear ground. Such was my living in disgust of sin. And this is what my seclusion was like. I would plunge deep into the wilderness region and stay there. When I saw a cowherd or a shepherd or someone gathering grass or sticks or a lumberjack, I'd flee from forest to forest, from thicket to thicket, from valley to valley, from uplands to uplands. Why is that? So that I wouldn't see them nor they me. I fled like a wild deer seeing a human being. Such was my practice of seclusion. I would go on all fours into the cows' pens after the cattle had left and eat the dung of the young suckling calves. As long as my own urine and excrement lasted, I would even eat that. Such was my eating of most unnatural things. I would plunge deep into an awe-inspiring forest grove and stay there. It was so awe-inspiring that normally it would make your hair stand on end if you weren't free from greed. And on days such as the cold spell when the snow falls in January winter, I stayed in the open by night and in the forest by day. But in the last month of summer, I'd stay in the open by day and the forest by night. And then these verses, which were neither supernaturally inspired nor learned before in the past, occurred to me. Scorched and frozen, alone in the awe-inspiring forest, naked, no fire to sit beside, the sage still pursues his quest. I would make my bed in a charnel ground with the bones of the dead for a pillow. Then village louts would come up to me. They'd spit and piss on me, throw mud on me, even poke sticks in my ears. But I don't recall ever having a bad thought about them. Such was my abiding in equanimity. There are some ascetics and Brahmins who have this doctrine in view. Purity comes from food. And this is also including vegetarianism, because there's a sutta where the eating impure food is brought up to the Buddha, and he talks about what is purity and what is not. So they say, let's live on jujubes. So they eat jujubes and jujube powder and drink jujube juice. And they enjoy many jujube concoctions. I wonder what jujube powder would be like back then. We think of like fruit powder today and how processed it is. Be interesting. I recall eating just a single jujube. They might think that at that time the jujubes must have been very big, but you should not see it like this. The jujubes then were at most the same size as today. Eating so very little, my body became extremely emaciated. Due to eating so little, my major and minor limbs became like the joints of an 80-year-old or dying man. My bottom became like a camel's hoof, My vertebrae stuck out like beads on a string, and my ribs were as gaunt as the broken down rafters on an old barn. Due to eating so little, the gleam of my eyes sank deep in their sockets, like the gleam of water sunk deep down a well. Due to eating so little, my scalp shriveled and withered like a green bitter gourd in the wind and sun. Due to eating so little, the skin of my belly stuck to my backbone, so that when I tried to rub the skin of my belly, I grabbed my backbone, and when I tried to rub my backbone, I rubbed the skin of my belly. Due to eating so little, when I tried to urinate or defecate, I fell face down right there. Due to eating so little, when I tried to relieve my body by rubbing my limbs with my hands, the hair rotted at its root and fell out. There are some ascetics and Brahmins who have this doctrine in view. Purity comes from food. They say, let's live on mung beans, let's live on sesame, let's live on ordinary rice. Due to eating so little, when I tried to relieve my body by rubbing my limbs or my hands, the hair rotted at its root and fell out. But Sariputta, I did not achieve any superhuman distinction in knowledge and vision worthy of the noble ones by that conduct, that practice, that grueling work. Why is that? Because I didn't achieve that noble wisdom that's noble and emancipating, and which delivers one who practices it to the complete ending of suffering. Oh, Visakha is going for ice cream. There are some many ascetics and Brahmins who have this view, have this doctrine in view. Purity comes from transmigration. But it's not easy to find a realm that I haven't previously transmigrated to in all this long time, except for the gods of the pure abodes. For if I had transmigrated to the gods of the pure abodes, I would not have returned to this realm again. So I guess we have confirmation here that that is a one-way trip. You are only going there to become fully awakened. There are some ascetics and Brahmins who have this doctrine in view. Purity comes from rebirth. But it's not easy to find any rebirth that I haven't previously been reborn in. There are some ascetics and Brahmins who have this doctrine of view. Purity comes from abode of rebirth. But it's not easy to find an abode where I haven't previously abided. There are some ascetics and Brahmins who have this doctrine in view. Purity comes from sacrifice. But it's not easy to find a sacrifice that I haven't previously offered in all this long time, when I was an anointed aristocrat king or a well-to-do Brahmin. There are some ascetics and Brahmins who have this doctrine in view. Purity comes from serving the sacred flame. But it's not easy to find a fire that I haven't previously served in all this long time, when I was an anointed aristocrat king or a well-to-do Brahmin. There are some ascetics and Brahmins who have this doctrine in view. So long as this gentleman is youthful, young, with pristine black hair, blessed with youth, in the prime of life, he will be endowed with perfect lucidity of wisdom. But when he's old, elderly, and senior, advanced in years, and has reached the final stage of life, 80, 90, or 100 years old, he will lose his lucidity of wisdom. But you should not see it like this. For now I am old. So this is the Buddha essentially saying that this is basically towards the end of the Buddha's life. Suppose I had 4 disciples with a lifespan of 100 years, and they each were perfect in memory, range, retention, and perfect lucidity of wisdom. Imagine how easily a well-trained expert archer with a strong bow would shoot a light arrow across the shadow of a palm tree. That's how extraordinary they all were in memory, range, retention, and perfect lucidity of wisdom. They'd bring up questions about the 4 kinds of mindfulness meditation again and again, and I would answer each question. They'd remember the answers and not ask the same question twice. And they'd pause only to eat and drink, go to the toilet, and sleep to dispel weariness. But the realized one would not run out of Dhamma teachings, words, or phrases of the teachings or spontaneous answers. And at the end of 100 years, my 4 disciples would pass away. Even if you have to carry me around on a stretcher, there will never be any deterioration in the realized one's lucidity of wisdom. And if there's anyone in whom it may be rightly said that a being not liable to delusion has arisen in the world for the welfare and happiness of the people, out of sympathy for the world, for the benefit, welfare, and happiness of gods and humans, it is of me that this should be said. Now at that time, Venerable Nagasamala was standing behind the Buddha, fanning him. Then he said to the Buddha, "It's incredible, sir. It's amazing. While I was listening to this exposition of the teaching, my hair stood up. What is the name of this exposition of the teaching?" "Well then, Nagasamala, you may remember this exposition of the teaching as the hair-raising discourse." That is what the Buddha said. Satisfied, the Venerable Nagasamala approved of what the Buddha said. All right. We have come to the end. Any comments, questions about this? All right. The sutta inspires faith. Yeah, very good. Many suttas are for just that purpose. All right. Well, why don't we read some Dhammapada, and then we'll see where it goes after that. Maybe we'll just close out a little early. Share screen. The elephant. As an elephant in the battlefield withstands arrows shot from bows all around, even so shall I endure abuse. There are many indeed who lack virtue. This is a very important line to understand. This, you should put this in your car in your house before you endure. Right? There's lots of unvirtuous people out there. It's pretty likely I'm going to have to endure some kind of abuse. It's good training. Like an elephant, a battle elephant. Maybe you've seen movies like Alexander or whatever, where they have the war elephants. They're like the tanks of the ancient world. Withstands arrows shot from bows all around. A tamed elephant is led into a crowd, and the king mounts a tamed elephant. Best among men is the subdued one who endures abuse. Excellent are well-trained mules, thoroughbred Sindhu horses, and noble Tusker elephants, but better still is the man who has subdued himself. Not by these mounts, however, would one go to the untrodden land, Nibbana, as one who is self-tamed goes by his own tamed and well-controlled mind. Musty during rut, the tusker named Dhanapalika is uncontrollable. Held in captivity, the tusker does not touch a morsel, but only longingly calls to mind the elephant forest. When a man is sluggish and gluttonous, sleeping and rolling around in bed like a fat domestic pig, that sluggard undergoes rebirth again and again. Formerly, this mind wandered about as it liked, where it wished, and according to its pleasure. But now I shall thoroughly master it with wisdom, as a mahout controls with his ankus an elephant in rut. Delight in heedfulness, guard well your thoughts, draw yourself out of this bog of evil, even as an elephant draws himself out of the mud. If for company you find a wise and prudent friend, come on now, all right, who leads a good life, you should, overcoming all impediments, keep his company joyously and mindfully. If for company you cannot find a wise and prudent friend who leads a good life, then like a king who leaves behind a conquered kingdom, or like a lone elephant in the elephant forest, you should go your own way. Alone. I was, I think I was repeating a line from a song. You should go your own way. You should go your way alone. Better it is to live alone. There is no fellowship with a fool. Live alone and do no evil. Be carefree like an elephant in the elephant forest. Good are friends when need arises. Good is contentment with just what one has. Good is merit when life is at an end. And good is the abandoning of all suffering. In this world, good it is to serve one's mother, good it is to serve one's father, good it is to serve the monks, and good it is to serve the holy men. Good is virtue until life's end. Good is faith that is steadfast. Good is the acquisition of wisdom. And good is the avoidance of evil. Notice here how they separated. Good it is to serve the monks, and good it is to serve the holy men. Right? So that there's a separation there. It's like the separation between just the regular person and an Arya, right? Somebody who has attained at least the first level of awakening. Yeah, Fleetwood Mac. Yeah. That was a song I listened to a lot when I would go running. So that's why I think that song came to my mind. I used to listen to it quite a lot before I was a monk. All right. I think we are probably good. So if you are listening for the first time and you'd like to learn more about myself and the organization Maggaseka, then you can follow the link, follow the website address on the screen, maggaseka.org, maggaseka.org. Thank you very much, Rick. I appreciate it. I should be back one more time, um, but I am also hoping that I'm able to be there for 5 full months and have a kind of last hurrah. I'm looking forward to it. My mind is inclining towards being in the mountains and being in a quiet community, although it's technically not a quiet community, and it won't be during the Vasa, but still, it'll be better than um, you know not being in community at all. So, all right, let's see. Let's share merit. Dukkha patta chane dukkha, bhaya patta chane bhaya, sokha patta chane sokha, untu sabbe pipaniyo, etavata cha mehi sampatang punya sampatang, sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya, akasata cha bhumata deva naga mehiddhika punyang tang anumoditva, charang rakantu sasanang. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit of ours that we thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas, nagas, and yakas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddhist dispensation. Sad, sad, sad. All right, friends. Well, Sukihotu, may you be happy and at ease, practice well and be well, and may you have a spiritually successful and peaceful practice until we meet again, which, if I'm alive, should be next week for the final Dhammapalooza until who knows how long. Have a good week.